There's a silent driver behind every decision you make, every goal you abandon, and every dream you chase. It's your mindset. It's the unseen force shaping your life day by day, choice by choice. If you feel stuck, burned out, or like you're meant for more but can't seem to break through, don't look outside. Look inward. Because the first step to changing your life isn't doing more. It's thinking differently. This is your moment to hit reset, not on your goals, but on the mind that fuels them. Welcome to Mindset Reset. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Wake up to the way you think. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're not unlucky. But you might be unaware. Most people live their entire lives on autopilot, reacting to circumstances, repeating patterns, and wondering why nothing ever changes. They chase productivity hacks, set new goals, and follow motivational influencers. Yet deep down, they feel disconnected. Why? Because they haven't done the one thing that truly changes everything. They haven't become conscious of their own thoughts. Your mindset is your internal operating system. It runs silently in the background, determining how you interpret the world, what you believe is possible, and how you respond to every challenge. And like any system, if it's outdated or corrupted by limiting beliefs, it doesn't matter how hard you try. You'll always hit the same wall. The most powerful realization you can have is this: you don't see the world as it is. You see it as you are. Your thoughts filter your reality. Your beliefs shape your behavior, and your inner dialogue becomes the soundtrack to your life. Let's break that down. Have you ever noticed how two people can go through the exact same situation and come out of it with completely different reactions? One sees failure as the end. The other sees it as feedback. One blames the world. The other takes responsibility. The difference isn't the situation. It's the story they're telling themselves. And that story is written by mindset. We're not born with a fixed mindset. We learn it through experience, repetition, and reinforcement. A parent who told you, "You're not smart enough," a teacher who embarrassed you, a friend who doubted your dreams. These voices often become the ones you repeat to yourself. But here's the liberating truth. Just as these beliefs were learned, they can be unlearned. You're not locked into the way you think. You can rewrite your script. But first, you have to become aware of it. So how do you wake up to the way you think? Step 1. Observe. Don't judge. Start by noticing your internal dialogue. What do you say to yourself when you make a mistake? When you wake up late? When someone compliments you? These moments reveal your default mental wiring. Don't try to change it yet. Just watch. Awareness without judgment is the seed of transformation. Step 2. Identify your repeating patterns. Do you often self-sabotage right when things are going well? Do you procrastinate when something matters most? Do you shrink when it's time to speak up? These aren't random. They're patterns rooted in your mindset. If you can name them, you can change them. Step 3. Trace the root belief. Behind every repeated action is a hidden belief. I'm not good enough. I always fail. No one will support me. These beliefs operate quietly, but they dictate everything. Ask yourself, what must I believe to keep acting this way? The answer will unlock the next level of clarity. Step 4. Question everything. Just because a thought feels true doesn't mean it is. Your brain is a master of confirmation bias. It looks for evidence to support what it already believes. If you think you're not smart, you'll focus on every mistake and ignore every win. Flip the script. Ask, what else could be true? This single question can break a lifetime of mental programming. Step 5. Rewrite the inner narrative. Now that you've become aware, it's time to start writing new code. Choose thoughts that empower you. Not empty affirmations, but believable, constructive thoughts. Instead of, "I always mess up," say, "I've made mistakes, but I learn fast." Instead of, No one supports me. Say, I'm building a circle that aligns with who I'm becoming. Words matter. They're not just noise, they're mental instructions. Here's the truth. Your life is always moving in the direction of your dominant thoughts. If you want to change your life, you must begin by changing the way you think about yourself, your abilities, and your future. You don't need to control every thought. That's impossible. But you do need to lead them. You need to become the observer, the editor, the architect of your own mental landscape. So as you move forward in this journey, remember this. You are not your past, not your patterns, and not your pain. You are the thinker behind the thoughts. And once you wake up to that, everything changes. Chapter 2. Break the loop. Shift the lens. Most people aren't living. They're looping. Same thoughts, same reactions, same results. Day after day, they wake up and unknowingly hit play on a mental script that was written years ago. The names in their life change. The surroundings may shift, but the internal programming remains untouched. That's why so many feel like they're running in circles, working hard but not moving forward. You can only change your life when you stop recycling the same mindset. The brain loves routine. It's designed to conserve energy, and one way it does that is by running established patterns, habits of thought, emotion, and behavior. But here's the catch. Not all of those patterns serve you. Many of them were born from fear, failure, rejection, or moments you didn't even recognize as formative. These loops become invisible cages, comfortable, familiar, but limiting. So how do you break the loop? First, realize that your brain is not your enemy. It's a survival machine. If it senses something is risky, like pursuing a dream, speaking up, or changing direction, it'll serve you thoughts designed to keep you safe. Thoughts like, what if I fail? What will they think? I'm not ready. But safety is not the same as fulfillment. What protects you from pain also keeps you from growth. And the longer you listen to those thoughts without questioning them, the deeper the loop becomes. Every loop starts with a lens, the mental filter through which you see yourself and the world. If your lens is cracked, everything looks distorted. You think people are against you. You assume opportunity won't last. You see setbacks as proof of inadequacy instead of lessons. But here's the game changer. The lens is not fixed. You can shift it. And when you do, the loop breaks. Let's talk about how to shift that lens. Move from reaction to intention. Most people live in reaction mode. They react to problems, deadlines, messages, people's opinions. Reaction keeps you in survival. Intention moves you into creation. Before you start your day, ask, who do I want to be today? How do I want to respond to challenges? That question alone puts you back in the driver's seat. It tells your mind, I am choosing the lens. Reframe the narrative. Every time something goes wrong, your brain offers an explanation. I'm cursed. I always screw this up. It's just who I am. These are not facts, they're frames, and frames can be replaced. Instead of, I'm terrible at this, say, I'm still learning. Instead of, this always happens to me, say, this is an opportunity to handle it differently. These small shifts aren't fluffy. They're the beginning of massive mental rewiring. Interrupt the pattern. When you catch yourself spiraling, overthinking, doubting, procrastinating, stop and disrupt it. Get up. Change your environment. Breathe deeply. Speak out loud. Your physiology influences your psychology. A 60-second interruption can give you space to choose a new thought instead of defaulting to the old one. Upgrade the questions you ask. The questions you ask yourself daily either build your mindset or break it down. Why can't I do this? Leads to blame and excuses. What can I learn here? Opens your mind to growth. Replace self-pity questions with self-leadership questions. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Surround yourself with better mirrors. You become what you consume. Not just food, but information, energy, people. If you're always around those who complain, play small, and justify mediocrity, you'll adopt their lens. Seek people, content, and environments that reflect back the version of you that you're trying to become, not the one you're trying to outgrow. Let's look at a real-world example. Imagine someone named Ria. For years, she's wanted to start her own business. Every time she thinks about it, she feels excited, then immediately overwhelmed. Her mind floods with thoughts. "I'm not ready. I don't have the skills. I might fail." So she scrolls social media, feels worse, and repeats the cycle the next week. That's a loop. Her lens is shaped by fear and self-doubt. But the moment she pauses and says, "Wait, what if I'm more capable than I believe? What if I just take the first step and learn the rest along the way?" That's the lens shifting. That's the loop breaking. It doesn't take a major event to reset your mindset. It takes a consistent decision to question your thoughts, challenge your stories, and consciously choose a better lens. Over time, this becomes your new normal, and that's when momentum begins. You don't need to rebuild your whole mind in a day, but you do need to take control of the next thought. That's where freedom starts, not in the future, but right here, right now, with how you choose to see what's in front of you. Theirs. Sometimes it whispers quietly, other times it screams, and most of the time, you don't even notice it's running the show. That voice is your inner narrative, the story you've been telling yourself about who you are, what you're capable of, and what your life is supposed to look like. Here's the truth most people never realize. Your story is not reality. It's interpretation. It's perception. It's been shaped by your past, your fears, your experiences, and the words others have spoken into your life. But just because you've been carrying a story doesn't mean it's true. And it definitely doesn't mean you have to keep living it. Maybe your narrative sounds like this: "I'm always behind. I'm not disciplined. I'm not smart enough. People like me don't get that kind of life." These thoughts might feel like facts, but they're not. They're scripts. They were written somewhere along the way, often without your permission. And the longer you repeat them, the more they harden into identity. But you are not your past. You are not your fear. You are not the broken version of yourself you've been repeating in your head for years. You are the author, and at any moment you can pick up the pen and rewrite the narrative. Here's how. Step 1. Identify the dominant story. Every belief you hold has a sentence behind it. That sentence becomes the way you think, the way you act, and eventually, the way you live. What's the story you've been running? Be honest. What do you constantly tell yourself when no one else is around? That you're not lovable? That you don't have what it takes? That it's too late? Naming the narrative is the first step to reclaiming it. Step 2. Ask where it came from. Most limiting stories didn't start with you. They came from a parent, a teacher, a failure, a comparison. Maybe someone made a careless comment at a vulnerable time in your life, and you carried it like a permanent label. Recognize that much of what you've believed about yourself wasn't planted by you, but you've been watering it ever since. It's time to stop. Step 3. Detach from false identity. People often confuse behavior with identity. I failed becomes, I'm a failure. I procrastinated becomes, I'm lazy. That shift is subtle but dangerous. One is an action. The other is a label. You are not your past actions. You are the awareness behind them. You can change behavior. You can't grow if you label yourself as fixed. So the next time you hear that voice say, I am something negative, stop. Replace it with I've done the thing, but I'm learning, changing, growing. Step 4. Choose a new internal language. Words shape perception. When you constantly say, I can't, I always, or I never, you reinforce mental boundaries that aren't real. Start shifting the language. Instead of, I can't do this, say, I'm figuring it out. Instead of, I'm terrible at this, say, I'm improving every time I try. You're not lying to yourself. You're leading yourself. Language doesn't just describe your reality, it creates it. Step 5. Focus on identity-based growth. Lasting transformation doesn't come from just changing habits. It comes from changing identity. If you want to build discipline, stop saying, I need to be more disciplined, and start saying, I'm becoming the kind of person who keeps promises to myself. Identity drives action, and the most powerful belief you can build is, I am capable of growth. Because once you believe that, everything becomes possible. Let's make this real. Imagine someone named Arjun. He grew up being told he wasn't leadership material. He wasn't loud. He wasn't assertive. So he played small. He avoided the spotlight. Years later in his career, every time an opportunity came up, his inner voice would say, that's not you. You're not that kind of person. And he listened. But one day, he realized he had adopted someone else's limitation as his truth. So he rewrote the story. Instead of, I'm not a leader, he began saying, I lead quietly, with strength and clarity. That one shift changed how he showed up. And over time, it changed how the world saw him too. You don't need a permission slip to rewrite your story. You don't need validation. You need awareness, intention, and repetition. Keep reminding yourself, the story you've been living is not the story you have to keep. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to outgrow your old self. You are allowed to rise. Right now, there are possibilities hidden behind every belief you've been doubting. There's a version of you that exists on the other side of your inner narrative. But you'll never meet that version if you keep repeating the same old script. Burn the script, write a better one. Chapter 4. From Reaction to Intention. Most people are not living, they're reacting. They wake up, check their phone, respond to messages, handle problems, and deal with whatever the day throws at them. Their energy is dictated by emails, moods, headlines, and other people's expectations. And because they never pause to direct their mind, they end up stuck in survival mode. Always busy, rarely fulfilled. But life is not meant to be a series of reactions. It's meant to be led with intention. When you live in reaction, your life is shaped by circumstances. When you live with intention, your life is shaped by choice. It's easy to fall into default mode. In fact, your brain is wired to conserve effort. That's why most of your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors today will be nearly identical to yesterday's. Without a conscious shift, you become predictable, not just to others, but to yourself. That predictability breeds stagnation, and stagnation is the silent killer of potential. Intention is the antidote. Intention is when you move from passive to active. It's when you choose your focus, your energy, and your behavior before the world chooses it for you. And it's the most powerful shift you can make in your mindset, because it puts you back in control of your day, your identity, and your direction. So how do you shift from reaction to intention? Start your day before the world does. The first 30 minutes of your day sets the tone. If you wake up and immediately dive into your phone, your brain becomes reactive. You start comparing, consuming, and absorbing noise before you've even checked in with yourself. Instead, claim the first part of your morning. Sit in stillness. Write your thoughts. Ask yourself, what matters today? And how do I want to show up? Begin your day by leading it, not chasing it. Decide what deserves your energy. Not everything requires your reaction. Not every comment needs a reply. Not every problem is your responsibility. Intentional living means choosing where your energy goes. Ask yourself throughout the day, is this moving me toward the person I want to become? If the answer is no, disengage. Protect your energy like it's your most valuable resource, because it is. Replace urgency with clarity. Reaction lives in urgency. Intention lives in clarity. Don't confuse busy with meaningful. Most people spend their time putting out fires they never needed to light. Step back. Ask, what's truly important today? Write down 3 things that matter, not 10, not 15, just 3. Then do them with presence. The goal isn't to do more. It's to do what matters with intention. Respond. Don't react. You can't control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. Reaction is automatic. It's emotional. It's driven by habit. Response is conscious. It's grounded. It comes from clarity. When something triggers you, a rude comment, a delay, a setback, pause. Take one breath. Create space. That space is where power lives. It's where you move from being a slave to your emotions to a leader of your mind. Anchor yourself in identity. Intentional people don't ask, what do I feel like doing? They ask, what would the future version of me do right now? They act from identity, not mood. If your goal is to become disciplined, ask, what would a disciplined person do today? Then do that, regardless of how you feel. Action from identity rewires your brain to believe in that version of you. And belief is what drives consistent change. Let's take a practical example. Suppose there's someone named Mira. She works a 9-to-6 job, feels drained by the end of the day, and often says she has no time to work on her personal goals. Her default pattern is work, scroll, eat, sleep, repeat. But one day, she chooses to become intentional. She wakes up 30 minutes earlier and sets a clear intention. Tonight, I will write for 45 minutes before bed. She puts her phone in another room. She lights a candle. She writes. It's not perfect, but it's purposeful. That's what intention looks like. A small, deliberate act done with clarity. And that one act starts a new pattern. Intentional living isn't about doing everything right. It's about doing the right things and doing them on purpose. It's not about being rigid. It's about being conscious. You won't always feel motivated. You won't always get it perfect. But if you keep returning to intention, your life will begin to reflect it. Every day gives you 2 choices. React to what the world gives you or create what you want to see. One leaves you drained. The other leaves you in motion. Reaction is easy. Intention is powerful. Chapter 5. Challenge equals change. Growth has a price, and that price is discomfort. Most people want change. They want better habits, more confidence, stronger discipline, and a more fulfilled life. But when discomfort shows up, when the alarm rings early, when the workout gets painful, when the criticism stings, when the results are slow, they pull back. They say, maybe this isn't for me. But the truth is, discomfort isn't a sign you're on the wrong path. It's the clearest signal you're growing. Nothing worth becoming happens inside your comfort zone. The comfort zone is where potential goes to sleep. It's warm, familiar, and easy. But it's also where dreams stall, identity freezes, and life becomes a loop. If you want to rise, if you want to evolve into a version of yourself you've never been before, you have to be willing to do things you've never done. And those things will feel hard. They will stretch you. They will make you want to quit. That's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign you're on the path to change. Challenge doesn't break you. Avoiding challenge does. Think about the gym. Muscles grow through resistance. You don't build strength by lifting what's easy. You build it by pushing against what's hard. That stress, that tension, is what tears the muscle just enough to rebuild it stronger. Your mindset works the same way. Every time you face a challenge and lean into it, instead of running, you upgrade your mental strength. But here's what most people get wrong. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel comfortable before they take the leap. That day never comes. Readiness isn't a feeling. It's a decision. You choose to show up while uncomfortable. You choose to keep going while uncertain. And the more you do it, the more you redefine who you are. So how do you start embracing challenge as fuel? Expect resistance. Don't be surprised when it gets hard. Expect it. When you set a new goal or commit to a new standard, your mind will resist. Your old patterns will fight to survive. That's normal. Don't make it mean anything. Resistance doesn't mean stop. It means push. Normalize discomfort. Discomfort isn't the enemy. It's information. It means you're doing something unfamiliar, something bigger than your old identity. Learn to sit with it. Feel the anxiety, the sweat, the frustration, and keep moving. The more you do, the less power it holds. Make hard things familiar. Repetition rewires resistance. The first time you wake up early, it feels like war. The 50th time, it's routine. Your nervous system adapts, your threshold expands. What once felt impossible starts to feel normal. So don't run from the hard things. Practice them. Redefine what challenge means. Change your language. Don't say, "This is hard." Say, "This is how I get stronger." Don't say, "I'm overwhelmed." Say, "I'm being stretched." Challenge isn't a wall. It's a mirror. It shows you who you are, and it shows you who you can become. Take pride in the struggle. Not everyone is willing to do what you're doing. Not everyone chooses to grow. When it gets hard, remind yourself, this is what separates me. This is what builds me. Challenge is not punishment. It's preparation. Let's ground this in a real-world example. Think of someone named Neeraj. He's always wanted to be a public speaker, but every time he thinks of stepping onto a stage, his stomach churns. His voice shakes. His hands sweat. So for years, he avoids it. Then one day he says, "Enough." He signs up for a local talk. He's terrified, but he shows up. The mic feels like it weighs 10 kilos. He stumbles through his words, but he finishes. And when he walks off that stage, he realizes the fear didn't kill him. It grew him. The next time, it's still hard, but it's a little easier. Over time, he doesn't just become a better speaker, he becomes a braver man. Not because it got easy, but because he kept showing up when it was hard. This is the path. This is the process. And there's no way around it. You can either avoid challenge and stay the same, or you can embrace it and evolve. It's not about chasing pain. It's about choosing growth over comfort, over and over again. Because every time you face something difficult and keep going, you send a message to your brain. We don't shrink, we rise. The most successful, disciplined, and fulfilled people in the world aren't fearless. They've just learned that fear is a compass, not a cage. They've trained themselves to feel the burn and step forward anyway. And that's available to you too. Chapter 6. Discipline is the new motivation. Motivation is a myth, at least the way most people treat it. They wait for it, chase it, depend on it. They watch a video, read a quote, feel a surge of energy, and make a big promise to themselves. This time I'll stick with it. But a few days later, when the feeling fades, so does the action. That's because motivation is a mood, and moods are unstable. They fluctuate. They change with sleep, emotion, weather, and stress. If your growth depends on feeling motivated, you'll always be inconsistent. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't care how you feel. It cares what you do. Discipline is the ability to act based on commitment, not emotion. It's showing up when it's boring, when it's uncomfortable, when no one is watching. It's the quiet force behind every long-term transformation. It's not flashy. It doesn't feel exciting. But it builds something motivation never can: momentum. Consistency, not intensity, is what changes your life. Most people think they need a massive overhaul. They try to change everything at once: Go all in for a few days, then burn out. But the real game is repetition. The real power is in the person who shows up, day after day, doing what matters. Whether they feel like it or not, that's where transformation happens. So how do you build real discipline? Create a system, not just a goal. Goals are good for direction. Systems are good for execution. A goal might be get fit. A system is work out at 7 a.m. for 30 minutes, Monday through Friday. Discipline lives in structure. It takes the emotion out of decision-making. You don't have to ask yourself every day, do I feel like it? You just do it, because it's what you do. Lower the activation barrier. Don't rely on willpower. Design for it. If you want to read daily, keep a book next to your pillow. If you want to eat clean, prep your meals in advance. Make the good choice the easy choice. Discipline becomes easier when the friction is low and the path is clear. Define who you want to be. Identity is stronger than habit. Instead of saying, I want to write, say, I'm a writer. Instead of I want to be disciplined, say, I'm someone who keeps promises to myself. When you act from identity, every decision becomes a vote for the person you're becoming. And the more you cast that vote, the more your brain accepts it as truth. Embrace boredom. The greatest breakthroughs often come wrapped in repetition. There will be days when the work feels dull, no excitement, no results, no progress you can see. Keep going. The difference between amateurs and professionals is that pros show up even when it's boring. That's discipline. Track progress, not perfection. You will have off days. You will miss workouts, eat junk, scroll too long, lose focus. Don't quit. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to stay in motion. Track your consistency, not your streak. Get back on track quickly. One bad day doesn't break you. Quitting does. Here's a simple truth. Discipline is freedom. It frees you from the chaos of emotion-driven decisions. It frees you from the regret of giving in to your lower self. It frees you to build the life you actually want, instead of the one you keep settling for. People think discipline is restriction. It's not. It's alignment. It's clarity. It's power. Let's say you want to build a business. You're excited in the beginning. You make a plan. But soon doubt creeps in. Results are slow. Motivation disappears. That's where most people stop. But the disciplined person? They keep showing up. They post content. They build systems. They refine their skills. Not because they feel inspired, but because it's who they've decided to become. Months later, they're not just more consistent, they're more confident, more capable, and eventually, more successful. That's what discipline gives you: identity, momentum, and results. Another example, take someone like Aisha. She's not a morning person, but she wants to build a better life, so she starts waking up an hour earlier to write. At first, it's hard. She fights the alarm. She struggles to focus, but she keeps going. Weeks pass. She doesn't feel different, but she's written pages. Months pass. She's finished a draft. That's not motivation, that's discipline. And it changes her entire self-concept. You're not going to feel like it most of the time. That's the reality. But you don't need to feel like it to do it. You just need to decide, once, that your future matters more than your mood. Then back that decision with systems, action, and consistency. Most people live in the future. They obsess over results, deadlines, numbers, and milestones. They constantly ask, when will I get there? And what if it doesn't work? But here's the trap. The more you obsess over the outcome, the more you disconnect from the process. And the process is the only place where change actually happens. The goal is not to predict the result. The goal is to master the moment. When your mind is stuck in the future, chasing success, fearing failure, comparing timelines, you lose power in the present. You rush through your actions. You half focus on your habits. You treat the process like a means to an end. But growth doesn't work that way. You don't earn confidence from results. You earn it from consistency. You don't become great by dreaming of the finish line. You become great by showing up, fully present, in the work that's right in front of you. The process isn't the path to the goal. It is the goal. Why? Because outcomes are unstable. You can't control timing. You can't control external praise. You can't guarantee perfect progress. But you can control your actions today. You can control your focus, your energy, your repetition. And that is where real power lives, in the now. So how do you shift from outcome obsession to process mastery? Set the target, then let it go. Yes, have a vision. Know where you want to go. But once it's set, move your attention to the steps, not the scoreboard. A basketball player doesn't make the shot by staring at the scoreboard. They focus on the form, the release, the rhythm. That's how outcomes are earned. One moment, one rep at a time. Build rituals, not just routines. Routines are mechanical. Rituals are meaningful. Find ways to make your daily habits sacred. Whether it's your morning writing session, your workout, your journaling, show up with full presence. Light a candle, breathe deeply, speak a word of intention. Turn your practice into a space of mastery. You don't need more time. You need more depth in the time you already have. Measure inputs, not just outputs. You can't always control how fast results come, but you can track your consistency. Are you putting in the reps? Are you being intentional with your effort? Shift your focus to what you can do, today in this hour, with what you have. If you do that well, the results will eventually take care of themselves. Eliminate performance pressure. Pressure comes from expectation. It kills creativity, joy, and momentum. If you tell yourself, this workout better make me fit fast, or this post needs to go viral, you create anxiety, not excellence. Instead, tell yourself, my job is to do the work, not to judge the result. That mental shift sets you free. Build flow, not force. When you're present in the process, you move with flow, focused, steady, and sharp. You stop forcing it. You get into rhythm. And that rhythm is what builds mastery. Trust this. The person who loves the process will always outlast the person who only loves the result. Let's break this down through a simple example. Arjun wants to get healthier. He sets a goal, lose 10 kilograms. He becomes obsessed, weighs himself daily, tracks calories obsessively, starts feeling discouraged when progress stalls. Eventually, he burns out and gives up. Now imagine if Arjun focused on mastering the moment. Instead of chasing the scale, he says, every day, I'll train for 45 minutes. I'll eat whole foods. I'll sleep on time. He tracks habits, not pounds. And after a few months, not only has his body transformed, but so has his relationship with discipline. That's the difference. When you chase outcomes, you risk quitting. When you master moments, you create change. It works the same in business, in relationships, in personal growth. You don't build greatness in leaps. You build it in layers. One focused moment. One honest rep. One deep breath at a time. Outcomes will come. That's inevitable if you stay consistent. But what matters more is who you become in the process. You become sharper, more grounded, more resilient. And that version of you, that's the real reward. Chapter 8. Upgrade your circle. Elevate your standards. You can be doing everything right. Reading the books, setting the goals, building the habits. But if you're surrounded by people who play small, think small, and speak small, it will slowly drag you down. Not because you're weak, but because energy is contagious. Standards are contagious. And who you spend time with silently teaches you what's normal. You don't just rise to the level of your dreams. You rise or fall to the level of your circle. Look around you. Who are the people in your daily life? What kind of conversations do you hear most? Are they about growth, discipline, and opportunity? or gossip, complaints, and excuses? Are your friends challenging you to level up, or quietly keeping you comfortable? Because your environment is either shaping your future or suffocating it. And often it happens so gradually that you don't even notice until you've been sitting in mediocrity for years. The truth is, your standards are heavily influenced by what your circle tolerates. If you're the most driven person in the room, it won't inspire you for long. It'll drain you. You'll lower your pace to match theirs. You'll start justifying your inaction. You'll begin accepting things you once said you'd never tolerate. That's how you lose momentum, not through failure, but through subtle alignment with the wrong energy. So how do you upgrade your circle and raise your standards? Audit your environment honestly. Make a list of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now ask, do they push me to grow or pull me to settle? Do they live with integrity, discipline, and ambition? Or are they stuck in loops of blame and comfort? Be brutally honest. The goal isn't to judge others. It's to protect your future. Distance without drama. You don't have to cut people off with anger, but you do need to guard your energy with intention. If someone drains you, distracts you, or consistently pulls you into old patterns, create space. Less time, less access, more boundaries. Not because you're better, but because you're building something they don't yet understand. Seek out higher standards. Get around people who live at the level you want to reach. People who read more than they gossip, who execute more than they talk, who keep promises to themselves. Even if you don't know them personally, you can learn from their content, books, and mindset. Immerse yourself in the frequency of growth. Build identity-based relationships. Don't just look for people who share your interests. Find those who share your values. Someone who also trains daily. Someone who writes consistently. Someone who takes accountability. Shared discipline builds real connection. Build friendships based on becoming, not just belonging. Raise your standards. First, you attract what you embody. If you want disciplined people in your life, start keeping your own promises. If you want sharp thinkers, become more thoughtful yourself. Set the standard in your own life, and you'll naturally start aligning with others who operate the same way. Let's look at a real example. Amin used to surround himself with friends who laughed at ambition. Anytime he spoke about a goal, they'd say, "You've changed," or "Why so serious all the time?" And for a while, he stayed quiet. But deep down, he knew he was shrinking to keep their comfort intact. One day, he made a quiet decision. "I'm done lowering myself to fit." He didn't cut everyone off. He just started saying no more often. He spent that time reading, learning, executing. Months later, he found himself connecting with people on a different level. Those who didn't mock growth, but modeled it. And everything changed. Not just his circle, but his standards, his habits, his identity. This is the power of the people around you. They are mirrors. They reflect your potential or your excuses. Choose mirrors that show you who you can become, not who you used to be. Your circle isn't just about friendships. It's about alignment. Proximity is power. Who you're around determines what feels normal. So normalize progress. Normalize deep conversations. Normalize high standards. And yes, normalize outgrowing people when your vision no longer fits their comfort. Chapter 9. Protect your energy, own your focus. In today's world, the most valuable resource isn't time, it's attention. And more than that, it's your energy. Where your energy goes, your life follows. What you give your attention to is what you end up building, whether you realize it or not. You can't build a focused life in a noisy world unless you learn to protect your energy like it's gold. Because it is. Distraction is the enemy of transformation. Every notification, every scroll, every unnecessary conversation drains a little more of your clarity, your focus, your drive. It's not just about wasted minutes. It's about the fragmentation of your mind. You can't create powerfully when your attention is constantly hijacked. You can't hear your own wisdom when the world is screaming at you. If you don't take control of your mental space, someone else will. The algorithm will. The opinions of others will. The expectations of the world will. So if you're serious about real change, here's a truth you must accept. Discipline begins with your environment. You can't operate at a high level while letting low-level distractions run your life. So what does it mean to protect your energy and own your focus? Create sacred space. Not every hour is equal. Some hours are meant for deep work, personal reflection, or high-leverage actions. Guard those hours with everything you have. Shut off your phone. Close the tabs. Don't let chaos walk into your focus time uninvited. Choose a specific place and time each day where your mind knows, this is where I go deep. No noise, no drama, just creation. Set a filter on people and problems. You don't need to respond to every call, every message, or every crisis that shows up at your door. Ask yourself, does this deserve my energy? Is this aligned with my purpose, or is it just noise in disguise? Be ruthless with your access. Not everyone gets a front-row seat in your life. Not every conversation deserves your attention. Protect your mental bandwidth. Start your day on your terms. If you check your phone first thing in the morning, you've already handed control of your mind to the outside world. Instead, begin your day with intention. A walk, a journal entry, a moment of stillness. This isn't about productivity hacks. It's about identity. Start like someone who's in charge of their energy. Build a focus ritual. Don't wait to feel focused. Create the conditions for it. Whether it's noise-canceling headphones, a focused playlist, or a warm-up routine that tells your brain it's time to lock in, build rituals that sharpen your state. Make focus your default, not your exception. Say no without apology. Every yes to something meaningless is a silent no to something important. Stop filling your calendar with obligations that drain you. You're not responsible for everyone's feelings. You're responsible for your direction. Protecting your focus isn't selfish. It's how you stay aligned with the life you're actually trying to build. Let's take a real example. Ria is a talented designer, but she's constantly overwhelmed, responding to DMs, checking her email 20 times a day, letting meetings eat her creative hours. She tells herself she's busy, but deep down she knows she's just scattered. Then she decides to take back control. She creates 2 blocks of deep work daily, no interruptions. She turns off notifications. She starts the day with journaling instead of scrolling. In 2 weeks, her output doubles, and her stress drops in half. She didn't find more time. She just reclaimed her energy. That's the game. Your energy is being pulled in 1,000 directions. If you don't choose where it goes, everything else will choose for you. You'll get stuck in reaction mode, always busy, always tired, and never fulfilled. There's a lie we've been sold, that we have to do more, be everywhere, respond to everything, and stay connected to everyone. But the truth is the opposite. The more you cut the noise, the more you can hear yourself. The more you protect your energy, the more you can channel it into what actually matters. So if you're feeling scattered, stressed, or stuck, don't look for motivation. Look for leakage. Where is your energy going? Who is draining it? What habits are stealing your attention? Fix that, and focus will follow. In the next chapter, we'll bring it all together, turning all this inner work into real-world power. But before we get there, remember this. Greatness isn't built through intensity. It's built through intentionality. Focus is not about grinding harder. It's about choosing better. Chapter 10. Your mindset, your new identity. Everything you've heard in this journey leads to this moment. Not a conclusion, but a beginning. Because this chapter isn't just about knowledge, or insight, or motivation. It's about identity. Who you choose to become from here forward. This is your reset. We started by waking up to the way you think. Then we broke the loops, reclaimed the narrative, and stepped into intention. You've challenged your comfort, replaced motivation with discipline, detached from outcomes, upgraded your circle, protected your energy. But none of that sticks unless your identity changes with it. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You rise to the level of your standards, and your standards come from your identity. Until you stop seeing yourself as the old version of you, the person who hesitates, who self-doubts, who delays, who stays quiet, you will unconsciously keep repeating the same patterns, no matter how hard you try to change them. Lasting transformation never comes from doing more. It comes from becoming someone different. So the question now is, who are you choosing to be? Because your mindset isn't just how you think. It's the lens through which you see yourself. It's the operating system behind every decision, every action, every belief. You've updated your habits, yes, but now it's time to update the person behind them. This begins with clarity. Define your new identity. You must name the future before you can build it. Who is this new version of you? Be specific. Don't just say, I want to be better. Say, I am someone who shows up early, speaks with confidence, executes without excuses, and trains the mind like an athlete. Speak it until your nervous system catches up. You don't fake it. You live into it. Align every action to that identity. From this point on, every choice is a vote for the person you want to become. Will this decision reinforce the old you or empower the new one? Will this conversation, this habit, this commitment pull you forward or pull you back? Build congruence. When your behavior reflects your belief, identity becomes destiny. Let go of the old story. You can't step into a new life while still dragging the weight of who you were. Stop telling the story of your limitations. Stop introducing yourself to your own mind as the person who can't focus, who lacks discipline, who always falls off. That's not you anymore, unless you keep choosing it. Cut the storyline. Build a new narrative. Surround yourself with mirrors of your potential. Keep placing yourself in environments that reflect who you're becoming, not who you've been. Let your circle, your routines, your information diet, and your daily rituals all remind you of your next level. Identity solidifies when it's reinforced from multiple angles. Build a world that reflects the future version of you. Don't wait for perfection. Start living it. You don't need permission to become the new you. You don't need a title or a certification or a green light. You just need the decision. The willingness to show up as that person, before you feel ready, before it's perfect, before it's comfortable. You become through repetition, not reputation. Keep showing up. Let's look at one last example. Vikram had always thought of himself as average. Average grades, average confidence, average ambition. But one day, something shifted. He asked himself a question he'd never dared to ask. What if I'm not average? I'm just underdeveloped. That single thought changed everything. He started reading like someone hungry for change, started training like an athlete even if no one noticed, started speaking up, writing, sharing, showing up like someone with something to offer. Not overnight, but consistently. And eventually, people around him said, "You've changed." But the truth is, he didn't change. He just remembered who he was always capable of becoming. This is your moment to do the same. Because mindset isn't just a set of thoughts. It's your identity in motion. And this isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning of a new chapter where you stop living on default and start living by design. This reset wasn't about turning you into someone else. It was about removing the layers of fear, doubt, distraction, and noise so you could meet the real you underneath it all. The focused you, the disciplined you, the bold you, the intentional you. You don't need to be fixed. You need to be remembered, activated, aligned. This is your mindset reset. And now it's your responsibility to live it, daily, deliberately, unapologetically. Not tomorrow, not when life is easier. Now. The world doesn't need another distracted person chasing surface goals. It needs you, clear, awake, powerful, and fully alive. Go live like it. Your future is waiting.